Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Today is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. And today, my English class, we are going to jump back into our Fundamentals of Math series. We will go ahead and conclude for the remainder and the duration of the teaching. We are going to just work on some basic fundamental math skills. These math skills can be applied to science and or your social studies GED exams, as well, of course, as in your math. And I believe I have someone that is joining us this morning, so let me acknowledge them. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Ha. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure that your camera is off and make sure that your audio is on mute, okay? Because we are recording. All right. So again, thank you for joining me. So this week we are going to focus on the fundamental basic skills of math. We are going to be just focusing on those skills, making sure that you're strong in those, so that way you can be prepared for the higher level math courses. And I believe someone else has just joined us this morning, so I would like to acknowledge them. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Hunting.
Good morning, Miss Philomena. How are you?
I'm good. Are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All
All
right.
right, so we are going to go ahead. And again, to my students that are on, please make sure that your cameras are off and make sure that your audio is on mute. All right. So we have been talking about fractions and how fractions can appear, or you probably would see them on your science and your social studies GED exam. So what I would like to do today, I would like to take an opportunity to continue with the series of fractions, but this time we are going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing mixed fractions with like and unlike denominators. So if you missed parts 1 and 2, I will be sure to leave the um, fundamentals of math playlist on at the end of this video, or I might put it in here during the video, but more than likely it'll be at the end. So that way you all can go back and review fractions, how to add them, subtract them, multiply them, and divide them. All right, so without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started. This video will not be too long for today because again, I want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to practice on sharpening your skills as it relates to fraction. Mhm. All right. Now, it says when dealing with operations and mixed fractions, you have several options in how to solve these problems. And I'm going to discuss how you can actually solve some of these problems momentarily. So just keep that in mind. Now, we are going to start with adding mixed fractions. Now, again, remember, mixed fractions are fractions that have a whole number as well as a fraction. So what you see beside the writing is an addition problem with adding mixed fractions and mixed fractions with subtraction. Okay, so just keep in mind that when we are talking about mixed fractions, we are talking about a fraction that has a whole number as well as a fraction beside it. And the rule states when you are adding mixed fractions with the same denominator, you are simply going to add the whole numbers together and the numerators together. Remember, the numerators are the top numbers in your fraction. Remember to keep the denominators the same. So you would not add the denominators. If you have the same denominators for your fractions, you only add the numerators. And because we're dealing with whole mixed numbers, we're going to add the whole numbers. So my example that I have over here is 3 1/5 plus 2 1/5. As you can see here, I have added 3 plus 2, and that gives me 5. And I've added only 1 plus 1, which are the which are the numerators, and that gave me my 2. Okay, so that's gives me 5 and 2/5. Okay. Okay, and again, this is just a friendly reminder. We are recording, so please make sure that you put yourself on mute. That way we can cancel out any background noises. Okay, so over here, I have a subtraction problem. Why? Because I have the subtraction sign right there. So I have 4 3/7 minus 2 1/7. Okay. Again, you're going to follow the same rule. You're going to have 4 minus 2, which leaves you with 2. And then you have 3/7 minus 1/7, which is 2/7. So again, you're basically breaking, you're separating, subtracting, or adding the whole numbers together, and then you're going to take that same operation and do the same thing with your fractions. Okay. Okay. So just another quick example, and that's why I have all this space here. We have uh, uh, all right. So I've written this problem as 9 and 5/8 minus 2 3/8. So again, you are simply just going to subtract the, excuse me, you're going to subtract the whole numbers. 9 minus 2 gives you 7. And then you're going to simply subtract the top numbers. So you have 5 minus 3, which gives you 2/8. And I'll, okay. Now go ahead and write a slash this way. Now, with 7 2/8, remember with fractions, you have to make them as small as possible so we can simplify our 2/8. And that's actually going to give us 7 1/4. So this will actually be your final answer. Now, as it relates to the part on your GED exams, I can guarantee you that 7 and 2/8 will be a choice. But although it is technically the correct choice, it is not the right choice, because remember, you must simplify your fractions. That is very, very important. So please, if you ever run across a problem, they are going to have the answer, which would be 7 and 2/8, but you want to pick the simplified answer, which would be 7 1/4. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we have an addition problem. So again, you are going to follow the same steps. You are simply going to add 1 plus 3, that gives you 4. And then you are going to add your two top numbers, which is 2 plus 1, and that gives you 3/9. Again, you want to make sure that you have simplified your answers as much as you can. So when I simplify 3/9, that's actually going to give me 1/3. So my final answer is actually going to be 4 1/3. Remember, you have to know how to simplify your fractions. I believe I already have a video that speaks about that. I believe that's actually part 1 in the fractions series in the fundamental math playlist. So please make sure that you go and check that out, so that way you can have a better understanding of how to simplify fractions. Now, sometimes when you are adding mixed fractions, you may, or subtracting mixed fractions rather, you may have to change some things around again, and I'll give you an example. So we'll start with an addition problem. Uh, I will do, let me do 1 and okay, I'll do that one. Now, of course, we are still going to follow our rule, which is going to be adding our whole numbers together. 9 plus 1, that gives me 10. And then I'm going to add my top numbers together, or my numerators. 3 plus 2 gives me 5. Now, we know and understand that a number over itself is equal to 1. So in actuality, this is what I have when I break this down. I actually have 10 plus 1, because remember, anything over itself, it is equal to the number 1. So when I do this, 10 plus 1, my final answer is 11. Okay, so please make sure that when you are adding or subtracting, we're actually going to get into the subtraction problem in a moment. When you are adding or subtracting, please make sure that you are, excuse me, that you are adding properly. And if you come across anything like this, that you make sure that you know that a number over itself is 1, and you're simply just adding them together. All right, so let's see here. Let's do one more, and then I want to do a subtraction one that deals with regrouping. Oh, okay, I will do that one. Okay, so you have a problem that you will come across on any one of your GED exams. Again, this is actually just basic math skills. So more than likely, you may see this particular problem on your mental math part, which is part 1 of your math GED. Remember, you cannot use a calculator. You will not be allowed to use a calculator on part 1 of your math GED exam. It is all mental math. So more than likely, you may see this on part 1 of your GED exam. Excuse me. Okay. So again, we are going to just simply add the whole numbers, and 7 plus 4 gives me 11. And I'm going to add my top numbers. 7 plus 5 gives me 12, and I'm going to leave my denominators the same. Now, we have what I like to call a mixed improper fraction, simply because it's a mixed fraction with the whole number and the fraction, but we have 12 over 10, which is an improper fraction. So, excuse me, fractions are nothing more than division problems, as we all know. So that means we are going to have to tackle this part of our fraction. Now, there's several ways you can actually go about this, but and I will show you both ways. All right, so the first way is a shortcut way, so to speak. I am going to go ahead and simplify 12 over 10, because 12 over 10, they are two even numbers, and because they are even numbers, I am going to go ahead and I am simply just going to divide this fraction by 2. I'm going to divide each number in the fraction by 2, excuse me. Now, when I do this, I'm going to come up with 6 over 5. Okay. Now, again, this is still an improper fraction, but it's a simplified one. So now all I would have to do is convert this improper fraction to a mixed number. Now, when I do that, and mind you, I'm not touching the 11. So you only are going to focus on the improper fraction. And then when it is time for you to incorporate your mixed fraction with the whole number, then that's when we'll add them together. So now I have 11, and that is going to be plus 1 over 5. Remember, if you need to have a refresher on how to convert these improper fractions into mixed fractions, please go ahead and rewatch the Fundamentals of Math Fractions Part 1 video. Now I'm going to add my whole number from the original problem with my new mixed fraction. 11 plus 1 is 12. And then I'm just going to carry over the 1 over 5. So my final answer would be 12 1/5. Okay, so that's going to be very important that you make sure that you know how to convert mixed fractions to improper fractions and improper fractions to mixed fractions. Now, when it comes to subtraction, that can be a little different because you may have to do what's called regrouping. Let me see here if I can think of a problem very, very quickly. Okay. Now, what we have here is 5 3/9 minus 1 4/9. Well, let me change something very quickly. I just realized I did something. So my apologies. I'm going to change that 3 to a 2. All right. And I'm going to put my toolbar down there. All right. So the first thing that you should notice or that should catch your eye is the fact of 2/9 is smaller than 4/9. That's the first thing that should catch your eye. So you would not follow the original steps as you would in the earlier examples, simply because if I asked for $4, but all you have is 2, that means I'm going to have to borrow from someone. Okay, so that is the key essential thing to look for. If your top fraction is smaller than your bottom fraction in subtraction, that means you are going to have to regroup. All right, so at this point, I am going to switch colors now. Uh-oh. Okay, so how do we regroup? Well, the first thing that we are going to have to do is we are going to have to subtract. So we are going to borrow from our whole number. Okay, so I am going to cross out this 5. And when I take 1 away from 5, that leaves me with 4. Okay, now the 1 that I took away, I am going to change that number to a fraction. And because my denominators are 9, that means I'm going to have 9 over 9. Because 4 plus 1 gives me 5. Okay. Now, what I'm going to now do with this 2 over 9, I am simply going to add it to this fraction. So what we have here in essence, we actually have 5 and 2/9, but we kind of broke it down to where we can finalize our answer. So I have 4 and 9 over 9 because again, this, putting a box over this right here, okay? This is equal to 5. So I want you to make sure that you catch that connection. Okay, so 4 plus 1 is equal to the 5. And I simply just added my 2/9 to this problem. Now, when I do that, I now can add 9 plus 2 because I now have the same denominators down here. So now my answer is going to be 4 and 11 over 9. Now, again, I understand that this may look funny, but this is going to help with solving our problem. Okay, so I am now just simply going to move my 1 and 4/9 under here. Now I have my top fraction is larger than my bottom fraction. So because my top fraction is larger than my bottom fraction, that simply means now I can go ahead and perform the subtraction. 4 minus 1 gives me 3, and 11 minus 4 gives me 7. So my final answer would be 3 and 7/9. Okay? So I will walk you through these steps again. Please make sure that you are taking notes. If you are watching this playback video, please make sure that you can pause the video at any given moment in time and you can rewind. And so that way you make sure that you have all of the notes that you need. Okay. So what I will do is I'm going to go to another color now. Okay. I will go to green. Okay. So I am rewriting this because, again, I want to make sure that we understand the rules and how regrouping and borrowing as it relates to subtraction goes, okay? Now, I'm going to change colors again. All right. So, again, the first thing I realize is, well, I can't take 4 from 2. Because again, if I needed to borrow $4 and all you had was $2, that means you would have to borrow $2 more from someone else, so that way you can be able to give me the full 4. Okay? So what we're going to do is this. I am going to subtract. So I'm going to write up here, subtract 1. So 5 minus 4, I'm sorry, 5 minus 1 gives me 4, excuse me. Now, 5 minus 4, please make sure that you're following my cursor. The 1 that I took away, I am now simply going to change this into a fraction form. So that is where I got my 9 over 9 from. Okay, so make sure that you are following the arrows if possible. And then I'm simply just going to bring my 2/9 over. The reason why I am not doing anything to this particular fraction at the bottom is because I had to borrow from the top fraction. Now, will there be a time where you will have to borrow from both fractions, top and the bottom? It should not be. That's a rare case. So I'm going to err on the side of caution to tell you no. You will always borrow from the top fraction simply because your top fraction should be your largest fraction. And this is only for subtraction. If this was addition, it would be no issues, no problem. Okay? So please just keep that in mind. Again, now I'm going to simply add these two fractions together. Okay? So when I do that, that is going to give me my 4. And then 9 plus 2 is 11. And I'm going to keep my denominator of 9 the same. Now I'm going to simply move over my 1 and 4/9 fraction. Okay. So now I can go ahead and I can subtract because again, my top fraction is larger than my bottom fraction. So now it is easier for me and I am able to solve this particular fraction. All right. So 3 and 7/9 is my final answer. Okay. Um, make this smaller. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type out basically the rules of how to use regrouping when you are subtracting mixed fractions. Okay, so again, please make sure that you are taking your notes. And again, please make sure that your audio is on mute. So again, that way we can cancel out any background noise. Okay. So steps in subtracting. Mixed fractions with regrouping. Some people call it regrouping. Some people say borrowing. It's all the same terminology. So it just all depends on who's teaching what. Okay. All right. So step 1, you're going to check to see if your top fraction is smaller than your bottom fraction. And if your top fraction is smaller, that is when you're going to have to follow the steps that I am typing out to you now. If you come across something like this, what we have over here, once we have converted everything, then you do not have to regroup. Okay, that's going to be very important. Okay, step 2. You are going to borrow from your whole number by subtraction. You're going to subtract 1. The number 1 that you subtracted from step 2, you're going to change that to a fraction. Okay, step step 4. You're going to now add your two fractions together, your two top fractions together. So let me make sure I put that. And let me say this: you get if you get an improper fraction, that's okay. Okay, and then we have step 5. I'm gonna go ahead and move this up very quickly. So that way I can have some room here. All right. So step 5, we're now going to move your bottom fraction under the under the top fraction, under the new. That's what I was looking for. New top fraction. And solve. And then step 6, this is actually optional. Simplify your fraction or convert your mixed fraction or convert your fraction if need be. Okay. So again, it's very important that you make sure that you understand these steps, because these steps are definitely going to be beneficial and helping you with subtraction and regrouping. Okay. Trying to make sure. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, because I want to make sure that I have enough time to prepare you all's work and email it to you. What I'm going to do now is also, excuse me, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and go over multiplying and dividing mixed fractions. And I will email you all a practice sheet with the answer sheet. Remember, whenever you are emailed a practice sheet, please make sure that you do it. You do not have to turn these into me, because they will have the answer sheets, so you can check your answers independently. So this is going to help you making sure that you understand how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide mixed fractions. Again, you may see this on your science exam. You may see it on your social studies exam. I do know that math is, on all of the GED exams. But remember, it is very important that you make sure that you are taking your notes and that you are studying and that you are doing the practice work and making sure that you have all of the information down pat and that you're confident in it. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move forward with multiplying and dividing fractions. Okay. It says when you are multiplying and dividing mixed fractions, you must change your mixed fractions into improper fractions. This then you can solve, because it will be easier for you to do so. So that was what I was referring to earlier, that there's technically several ways that you can solve these problems. As it relates to adding and subtracting, you could potentially change those mixed fractions into improper ones and you can subtract or add, but then you will have to convert them back to mixed fractions. So you can do that. It's totally, up to you how you would like to go about solving fractions, mixed fractions. But as it relates to multiplying and dividing, you must change them from mixed fractions to improper fractions. Okay. Now, in the middle here, it says, remember, to convert your mixed fraction to an improper fraction, you must multiply the whole number by the denominator. Then add that answer to the numerator. The final answer will now serve as your new numerator, and you will keep your same denominator. So for example, I have 2 and 1/2, and that's multiplied by 1 and 1/5. I multiplied my denominator, which is 2, times my whole number 2, that gave me 4. 4 plus 1 gives me 5. So 2 and 1/2 converted would be 5/2. And that is going to be multiplied by 1/5. Again, I multiplied my 5 times my whole number 1, and then I added 5 to 1. 5 plus 1 gives me 6. Now that I've done this, I can simply now multiply fractions. 5 times 6 is 30. 2 times 5 is 10. Oh, I know I can simplify that. 30/10 leaves me with 3. Okay, so down here at the bottom, I have, once you have converted your fractions, then you will multiply the fractions and simplify if need be. And we have already demonstrated that here. Okay, so again, if you need a refresher or a recourse or a reminder on how to do these things, please check the fundamental math videos. They are already posted for you. Now, with division, we are going to do the same thing. However, we are then going to apply our keep, change, flip rule. So again, I converted both of my fractions, my mixed fractions, to improper fractions. And as you can see, I went ahead and I applied the keep, change rule. Okay, so I kept my first fraction the same. So 5/2 stayed the same. I changed my division sign to multiplication because they are inverse operations of each other. Then I flipped my second fraction. So 6/5 is now 5/6. Okay. So I now have a multiplication problem. So I'm simply just going to multiply 5 times 5 gives me 25, and 2 times 6, that gives me 12. Now, I have an improper fraction here. You do not want to leave your fractions improper. Okay, this is not the right thing to do. So make sure that you remember how to convert your improper fractions to mixed fractions. Okay, and my answer here would be 2 and 1/12. Okay. Oh, and I also put the rules here as well. Let me make sure I can move that up so y'all can see it. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put that in place to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. All right. So these are the rules as well for dividing fractions. Again, making sure that you know what rule goes with what concept. Because again, I understand that math is the same concepts and different things of the like, but it is your responsibility to make sure that you know what concept goes with what rule. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and stop the screen share. This is actually the end of the lesson for today. And what I'm going to do is, for everyone that is on today, I will be sure to email you practice sheets as well as answer sheets. So that way you can do your work and you can check it on your own. Okay, that's very important that you understand how to check your work and make sure that you are doing the steps correctly, making sure you're not missing anything or adding anything to it. So this is more of an independent practice for you all. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
The 1/12, the whole number 2. Can you explain the one more? I don't
Okay.
understand the whole number 2 and 1/12.
Okay. So again, Miss Hobb. Okay. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Uh-oh. Did I choose black? Okay. Okay. How did I choose black? Okay. My final answer was 25/12, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what we call an improper fraction. An improper fraction is simply a fraction where the top number or where the numerator is larger than your denominator. I probably should have just typed that. And more than likely I should have, so I'll go ahead. Don't like how I wrote that. All right. And again, there is a video that you can watch that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to convert your improper fractions to mixed fractions. Okay, so an improper fraction. Because this is a improper fraction, I am going to have to divide. Remember, fractions are nothing but division problems. So you are going to take your bottom number, which is 12, and you are going to divide that by your top number, which is 25. When you do this, this is simple long division. 12 goes into 25 two times. This is going to serve as your whole number. When I do 12 times 2, that gives me 24. When I subtract 25 from 24, that leaves me with 1. The remainder of 1 now serves as my new numerator, and my bottom number stays the same. Um, no, I can type that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and type that. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. And then I can actually, yeah, I could type that too. Okay, so that way it can be clear that you all can uh, okay, and then I'm going to do this. Okay, that's my arrow. All right. Okay, and then we're going to keep same. denominator. Okay, so again, there's already a video out that will give you further detailed instructions on how to convert your improper fractions to a mixed fraction. So please be sure that you all watch those videos, okay? And again, the videos are beneficial because they come with more resources and they come with practice sheets as well, okay? So please make sure that you all are watching them. All right. So
Thank you.
you're very welcome, Ms. Ha. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you down there. I am going to go ahead and I am going to stop the screen share. Where is my pen? Okay, got to get me another pen. Okay, make sure that. All right. So what I'm going to do, I am going to the students that are joining me today, I will personally email you a worksheet so that way you all can practice on adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing mixed fractions. For anyone that's watching the playback video, I will be sure to leave the PDF link in the pinned comment section on my channel. Again, the PDF files, you can download them on your laptop, computer, or whatever electronic device that you're using. If you have printer access, you can print your work. And so that way, if you want to have a hard copy to use for your notes, that is all well and good. So PDF files are wonderful. I love them to pieces. All
How
right.
to do playlist? How to do playlist? How to click?
I'm sorry, Miss Ha.
How to see again when you teaching? Because right now, if I go to work, I can
Okay.
check the homework. But after when I go home, go home, I need to watch again. How do I see again playlist? I don't know how.
Okay. Well, Miss Ha, are you subscribed to my you do have my YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all you would do is click on my name and you're going to look for, and the videos are in order. They have the dates on them. So for example, if you missed yesterday's video, you would go to videos and they have all of the videos listed with the subject. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
you're very, very welcome.
And I let you know I am working. Is it 9:45? If
Okay.
today I'm work late, I can stay. But tomorrow, if I'm going to class online, but I'm leaving 9:45.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know, Miss Ha. Classes are only for an hour anyway.
Yeah,
Um, so either way, you'll
just
still
45 minutes.
yes, ma'am. So either way, you'll still get your credit for when you come to class.
Okay, thank you.
You are so very welcome. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to stop the screen share. Okay, and I'm going to make my list of people that are on, and Ms. Ha, it looks like you are the only one that's here, which is fine. So I will be sure to email you the worksheets, and that way you can work on them at your own pace. Remember to make sure that you are checking your work. The answer sheets will be available for you. Okay?
Thank you, and I'm so apologize for a couple of weeks. I am because I am work. That's why early when I
Yes.
go home late, I can respond. Let you know I am absent the class. I'm so
Yes, ma'am.
apologize.
Yes, ma'am. No, I understand, and
Thank you.
I figured that you were working, so I do again appreciate you letting me know, but it's totally okay. I figured that you were working, so that's not a problem. But you now have an opportunity because again, all of the videos from the English class are up, so you have the opportunity to go and watch those videos. You can go back and watch the dates. Look at the dates of the days that you missed in class, and then you can just watch those videos at your own time, at your own pace, and you can take the notes however you see fit. fit. Okay, so that's
No.
not a problem. I figured that's what was going on, and a lot of students have been working more due to the pandemic and being because they're essential workers. So again, I am totally understandable, of that. But I just want to encourage you as well as anyone else that's watching to please make sure that you do the best that you can to stay on top of your assignments and of your videos. Because again, once the testing centers open, I do not know when they'll open. I believe they'll open sometime in July next month. I want you all to be ready and prepared to take your GED exams. So please make sure that everyone that's watching this video use your time wisely. Make sure that you're taking your notes. Make sure that you're watching the videos. Um, Making sure that you understand the concepts because again, I want you all to be ready. We've had close to 3 months
Yeah.
of getting ready and studying and making sure that we are on top of our concepts. Okay, so again, make sure that you all are studying, taking your notes, using the resources that are in the pinned comment section as well as the description box. Okay, I've left some fabulous resources for you all. If all else fails, Google is your friend. So please make sure that you are taking advantage of this opportunity in this time of studying, doing the work, practicing, and making sure that you are preparing yourself for the real GED exams. Okay?
Yeah. I tried a couple of time my option, but I tried to watch and academy and your teach me on you on the camera,
YouTube?
but
Yes.
I can click in because I don't know how. Then the academy I don't understand. That's why I miss the class many times.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I understand. And what I'll do, Miss Hart, I will email you the instructions on how to do all of that. Okay. So
Okay,
that way you
thank
can
you.
have
Have
it.
a
Okay.
good day.
Yes, ma'am. You too. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Okay, and to anyone else that is watching this playback video, I will be sure to leave the same work in the pinned comment section. That will be the for the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing mixed fractions. Okay.
Yeah.
So until tomorrow, I pray that you all have a wonderful and blessed Tuesday. Please continue to be safe, continue to protect yourselves, continue to adhere to the rules and the regulations as it relates to, going outside, wear masks, social distancing, all of that wonderful good stuff. And Miss Hampton will see you all tomorrow. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Thank you. You have a good day. Take
You
care.
too. You too, Miss Ha. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye bye.